what's up?
Okay, Dave from Open Mind, Saturated Brain here with some of the people from Swamp Fest. Why don't you tell us how you got started with this? I wasn't sure if you were all involved last year or not.
I was not. They were.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, I met Mitchie when I moved to Richmond about 4 years ago. Our bands started playing shows together, and then basically last year we had made a lot of friends through touring and the internet and stuff, and it just all kind of culminated. And then through the fest last year, we got more acquainted with Drew and a bunch of other people as well, so it's really kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, like I actually paid for a ticket and just came last year as an observer and then was super inspired by it and was like, oh my god, how do I get involved in this shit? So here I am a year later, I'm in a band with these two and we fucking book shows together, so it's pretty tight.
How has Swamp Fest changed from year one to year two?
It's a good question. I'd say the lineup and like sort of diversity of the bands playing is a big change. Last year it was sort of marketed like exclusively to like Screamo fans and whatever that audience may be. And this year we sort of just attempted to make it about like DIY heavy music and kind of take it from there. So I'd say the lineup is a big transition. What else would you want?
I think we also were more acquainted with most of the bands last year, which wasn't at all a bad thing, but this year we definitely wanted to like step out from that and sort of like, you know, branch out and rope in some other acts. And like we were talking before about just, you know, make our message a little bit more clear and like sort of make it more clear about, you know, exactly beyond like a style of music, like what this scene means to us and what we want it to like stand for.
What do you think Drew brought it into this?
I think a big factor that Drew brought is sort of her expertise on just like music journalism, as well as like, I mean, the hardcore scene here decades going. So sort of for her to be able to provide insight as to like how things were however many years ago and how we can sort of better publicize ourselves, and just, I think she sort of just helped us like come into ourselves a little more. Last year we had no idea what to expect.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty cool.
I think organization is a very key point in that.
Yeah.
And just like,
It's true. Like I'm always like freaking out and being like, guys, how are we doing this? No, but seriously, how are we doing it? Give me a step-by-step plan. And we don't always keep the step-by-step plans, but at least these days we're writing them and then trying to follow them, you know?
Yeah.
And we're working on that because we all book shows, and now it's kind of become a thing where we all book shows together instead of like Mitchie has a show and then the next week Will has a show, etc. We're all trying to work together, and there's a lot of like getting organized going on with that too. So hopefully in the future this will grow to encompass more than just Swamp Fest and help us do better with, you know, just the shows we book week in and week out. Yes.
What has been the most difficult thing about Swamp Fest, and what has been the most rewarding thing about Swamp Fest thus far?
I think the most difficult thing is sort of just personally putting ourselves out there with each move we've made with the fest, be it like a fundraiser or just any sort of like logistical thing. We've all been very like personally stressed out and involved from day one. So the most difficult thing is I think definitely just sort of dealing with everything that booking a fest entails, and sort of, we have a great community here like helping us out, but you know, people, young people, old people, like whatever you may have, you can only do so much until like the weekend of. So I think just sort of planning is the most difficult part, and then it happening is the most rewarding part. But that's just what I think. So
Yeah, I would say it's difficult really to figure out how best to promote this whole thing and really get to the people who would care. I wouldn't have been happy this year unless we sold the place out. We didn't sell out, so that's a bummer. But there are things to learn from it. I mean, we diversified the lineup a bit, but I think there was maybe a way we could have done better with it. I mean, I'm super happy with what happened. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I'm always trying to learn. And right now, it's like, yeah, I think promotion and trying to get people both around the city and outside the city to care about it. Like, you know, I'm from the days when fests were a thing, and people, the whole scene would talk about it every year of like, oh, we're all going to More Than Music Fest, or oh, we're all going to Detroit, or Goleta on the West Coast, and like, I want this to be like that, but I don't know how to get there, and that's going to involve promotion, and I don't really know how to do that. I mean, the scene has changed. There used to be zines, now there's, Facebook groups? I don't know what's taken the place of zines. Maybe nothing has. So promotion and getting the word out is something I feel is really difficult, but yeah, I mean, it happened. I've seen a lot of fucking great bands. We've run into people that we're really good friends with that we haven't seen in 6 months or whatever. It's an opportunity to grow the community and strengthen the community. All of those things are very rewarding.
Yeah.
And
I think just on the topic of like rewarding, yeah, it's like seeing all our friends from around and like new people coming and knowing that they traveled to be here and want to be a part of this here with us, like, and be all together. And also through doing like all the fundraisers and stuff like that, the amount of support from like non-screamo bands and like bands that are like not of this genre or not even playing today, the people that opened up their houses and spaces to like let us fundraise and like actively were outspoken about promoting this for us, and for bands that weren't even going to be playing, don't even play the style of music. I think it was more just about they vibed with the message and like wanted to support something like that, and it just was like unbelievably heartwarming to like have people all around, all across the board trying to like play fundraisers, book fundraisers, do whatever, and contribute to that zine too.
yeah.
Very humbling.
Yeah,
it really is. It just makes it feel like we are a part of a community, and yeah. So,
definitely. I mean, like even a year ago, Haunted Mansion was kind of its own thing, which was the space they lived in and booked shows in until very recently. And it was kind of like there were Haunted Mansion bands, the bands that practiced at the space, and those bands were doing their thing and bringing in touring bands. But now we have a much wider like array of Richmond bands that we know are down with us and would love to play with us. So we're in a position to reach wider networks of musicians, which will only help us grow this even more. So yeah, doing the fundraisers makes new friends, makes new connections, and that's super important.
That actually leads into my last question, which is just, what do you have anything planned or looking to plan for next year?
Oh my God.
Or is it still too early, as it's not finished yet?
I think we all need to sleep, and then we'll talk about it. But yeah, you say your thing. Sorry.
I mean, I don't have any plans presently. Just like more shows, more recordings, more of a message whenever possible. Trying to use our position as musicians, promoters, whatever you want to call it, to just sort of spread an ideology that's, more than just the music.
Yeah, safer spaces, LGBTQ issues, issues of racial diversity, and not giving into your white privilege if that's applicable to you. And like, we've all got shit to deal with. We've all got our oppressions. We've all got our prejudices. We've all got to work past it. But having a more diverse community helps us do that, and we want to put those messages forward, put them on Front Street, and make sure that everybody that we're working with is down with that, because even like 2 years ago, it wasn't really something we were putting out as much. And honestly, our community is so much more diverse now because we've been focusing more on those messages. So I think it's moving in nothing but a positive direction. So hopefully that just means more and better things for next year.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully we'll see you next year.
Hope so.